it's Thursday night, say yeah for it's another edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. Hello, friends. Anthony Floyer here with you alongside Michael Bullock. Good old MF Michael Fletcher not joining us this evening due to work commitments beyond his control. I apologize for the delay. I was waiting for Bullock to get in. He probably just got in a little bit ago, so I didn't notice I was getting things set up. So yeah, um, week 9 already. I mean, season's just been flying by real fast, and to believe we just started this thing, and now here we are already halfway, a little more than
Yeah,
half.
it's flown by so quickly, Florio, that we're going to be getting soon to the first ever college football playoff. Power rankings when it comes later this week.
It's coming out this week.
Yeah, I thought we talked about it during our
No.
night out at Monday Night Raw.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. That's right. Yeah, those are coming
I
up
mean
pretty
that I
soon.
mean that's how
So
fast the season's gone by.
man, unbelievable. It's amazing. But but yeah. Um week 9 actually started tonight. West Virginia took care of business. Number 13, West Virginia took care of business. They went up against Baylor 58-14. But Bullock, we had a major upset this evening. Georgia Southern beat down Appalachian State. Appalachian State went down 34-14 against Georgia Southern.
Wow.
So, wow. So, needless to say, Appalachian State will not be in those rankings next week without questions. So, but now we'll get into the other action. Just have to quickly get everything up and running here. So, all right, just about get everything set up here. So, all right, I think we got everything all ready to go here. So let's try to move as fast as we can, like we did some time ago. So, we started with a Friday game actually, and in that Friday game, it will be the number 23 Utah Utes squaring off against the UCLA Bruins at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, 10:30 tomorrow night. That'll be over on ESPN. And let me get everything up and running here. Just get the numbers up here. Utah is opening up as a 10 to 10.5 point favorite. And on the call for that game tomorrow night it'll be on ESPN. It'll be Jason Benetti with Kelly Stufer and Olivia Decker. Utah opening up as a 10.5 point favorite. So I believe we have everything squared away. So get into this. Quarterbacks Dorian Thompson Robinson and Wilton Speed have guided UCLA to consecutive wins, and the Bruins have reason to be optimistic. However, Utah defense that has allowed only 4.32 yards a snap this season, seventh in the nation, should be able to contain the Bruins. So I got Utah winning 34-20. Bullock, come on in. Let's try to go as rapid fire as we can with this. So I got Utah winning 34-20 over UCLA.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. I got Utah beating UCLA as well. So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more that needs to be said. So let's just move right along to the next game on the docket.
And we're gonna get into the Saturday matchups now. We start with our high noon matchups. Believe it or not, we only have 2 of these. Hard to believe. We usually have like 4 or 5. The number 2 Clemson Tigers against the Florida State Seminoles. Bobby Bowden Field at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. This one will be over on, I believe ABC will be
ABC.
having. Yes, ABC will have this matchup, and Clemson opening up as 16.5 to 17 point favorites. And on the call for this one will be Bob Wischusen, Brock Huard, and Allison Williams. So Bullock, I mean, once upon a time, this game usually meant something, but not anymore. I mean, Florida State's gone down, Clemson continuing to do their thing. So 16.5 to 17 for Clemson. I don't think it'll be as close as it recently has been.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely not going to be as close as it used to be when Florida State was part that was dominant in that ACC. So they're not the same team. So
No.
yeah, yeah, I expect Clemson to have no problem with the with Florida State here. So I'm going to say my final score. It's going to be I'm going to say 34-14. Clemson's going to run roughshod on Florida State. So Florio, it's yours.
Florida State played its most complete game of 2018 last week, also posting season best marks of 38 points scored and 17 allowed. Even with FSU's home field benefit, the gap between the Seminoles and Clemson is massive. The Tigers should own the trenches and suffocate Florida State's offense all game. I got Clemson winning 35-17. Give me Clemson over Florida State. So let's move on to our next matchup. The other high noon game on Fox, the number 20 Wisconsin Badgers squaring off against the Northwestern Wildcats at Ryan Field in Evanston, Illinois. This game will be over on Fox with Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, and Bruce Feldman. And Wisconsin opening up as 4.5-point favorites. Northwestern took Michigan to the wire, upset Michigan State, and barely survived Nebraska and Rutgers. Which Wildcat team will show up? Although Wisconsin's defense is mediocre this year, the unit ranks 24th inside the red zone. Timely stops, I think, will propel the Badgers. So I'm going with Wisconsin to win 27-23. Wisconsin over Northwestern. Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, I got. I'm right here. Yeah, I just unmuted my mic. So yeah, I got Wisconsin winning this one. I'm going to say my final score is going to be 24 to 17. I think Wisconsin will have no problem, but let's get on to the late afternoon games. And Florio, I think we got our game of the week we're going to talk about here.
Oh, yes, this is indeed the game of the week. You're absolutely right. And it's only fitting that it's the SEC on CBS. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party. The number 9 Florida Gators, the number 7 Maiden Georgia Bulldogs, TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. You know who's working this. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Jamie Erdahl. They'll be there. Georgia opening up as 7-point favorites. Yes, Bullock, you said it. Game of the week. And what a game of the week with the SEC on CBS and the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
And especially with two of the biggest powerhouses in the SEC. I mean, you got major SEC East implications that's going to be coming down here. I mean, you definitely gotten. I mean, the bye week for Georgia certainly worked out well after losing 36-16 last week at LSU, and now you got to deal with the number 9 ranked team in the nation, the Florida Gators here. So, I mean, this almost makes it looks like a home game for them. But yeah, I mean, but like I said, Florida's been on an absolute roll. I mean, ever since dropping uh, its conference opener in week 2 to Kentucky, they've reeled off 5 straight victories. And yeah, Florida coach Dan Mullen certainly has got this team playing well as of late. So, and Georgia's going to be steaming after that loss to LSU. So, man, this is something I'm going to definitely be interested in. It's I say to me, I'm going to say this, Florio. I don't know if you'll agree. Whoever wins this game, I think is going to end up winning the SEC East. Would you agree on that?
Yes.
So, man, this is a tough one. So, to me, I'm going to say because I think Georgia's going to bounce back, but I think it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a 5-star classic, and I got Georgia winning this one. My final score 24-21. Georgia beats Florida. I mean, would it surprise me if the Florida Gators pulled this one out? I certainly wouldn't be surprised, but I just think the loss loss to LSU from Georgia, I think, is going to make them play a lot better. So I got Georgia winning this one. Florio, I give it to you.
Georgia's rushing attack will stress Florida's defense, but the passing game is a bigger concern for the Gators. Georgia has ceded just 5.4 yards a pass this season, fifth in the nation. Florida must be able to create yards after the catch. Otherwise, the Dogs will quickly pull away, and I think they will. Georgia will win this one 27-16. I got Georgia over Florida as well. I agree. So let's move on. Next matchup. The number 8 Oklahoma Sooners at home at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, hosting the Kansas State Wildcats over on Fox. And working this matchup, I do believe it is yes, it is. It's Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, and the All-American girl, Jenny Taft. And Oklahoma opening up as 24.5-point favorites. So, yeah, after a dreadful September, opposite comparable foes, Kansas State has hung 65 combined points on Baylor and Oklahoma State. If and only if that offense appears, the Wildcats have a chance to pull the stunner. I'm not counting on it. Oklahoma should win rather handily, 45-24, Oklahoma over Kansas State. Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, I got Boomer Sooner all day going all over Kansas State in this one. I'm going to go 41-20 to be my final score. So, yeah, nothing more to say. Let's move right along to our next game, Florio.
And it's our number 2 game of the week, Bullock. The number 2 game of the week right here, as far as I'm concerned. 3:30 on ESPN, the number 18 Iowa Hawkeyes against the number 17 Penn State Nittany Lions at Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley. I believe it is going to be, yes, it is Steve Levy, Brian Griese, and Todd McShay. They will be there. Penn State opening up as 6.5-point favorites. So Bullock, number 2 game of the week, should be a beauty. Iowa and Penn State in Happy Valley.
And you know what we can expect at Penn State when we have a big game there?
Whiteout?
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing I love about it. And you know that crowd's going to be riling there. And, yeah, I mean, I expect Penn State to come out and play a really big game here. And, yeah, I mean, I think I think they should score enough points here to beat Iowa. So I'm going to say Penn State beats Iowa. I'm going to say my final score is going to be a 28-24 Penn State beating Iowa. And like you said, will be the number 2 game of the week. So, Florio, I give it to you.
As talented as Penn State is, the offense has struggled to move the sticks on third down. The 36.84 conversion rate is 93rd nationally, while Iowa has surrendered only a 36.78% mark. It's essential the Hawkeyes win the turnover battle, but they're a huge matchup problem for Penn State. Believe it or not, I'm actually gonna pull an MF here. I'm gonna call for the upset here. I'm going with Iowa to win this one, 27-20, Iowa over Penn State. There, I said it. The other 3:30 kickoff, final 3:30 kickoff, we have the number 21 South Florida Bulls against the Houston Cougars at John O'Quinn Field at TDECU Stadium. Either ABC or ESPN2 is going to have that call, and it will be Mark Neely with John Congemi and Alex Cordry. And we just find the spread here. Houston opening up as 7.5-point favorites. This is without a doubt the sleeper game of the week for me. Houston has scored no fewer than 41 points in a game this season. That trend figures to continue against a simply average South Florida defense. Yes, the unit is comparable to Houston's, but USF hasn't shown the red zone efficiency to atone for it like the Cougars. So MF would be so proud of me right now. I'm going to call for another upset here. Give me Houston to upset South Florida 41-27. Bullock, how do you follow that?
How do I follow it? I'm gonna follow it with the. I'm going with you, man. I'm going with the upset here too because I just think Houston's gonna be able to is going to be able to play well against that average defense of South Florida, and I just don't see how South Florida can hang around with them. So I'm going with Houston as well. My final score is going to be 27-20. It's going to be my final score. So let's move on to our next game.
And it's a 4 o'clock matchup. It'll be the number 12 Kentucky Wildcats squaring off against the Missouri Tigers at Farrott Field at Memorial Stadium. SEC Network will have the game, and on the call for that one will be Taylor Zarzar, Matt Stinchcomb, and Chris Budden. And believe it or not, Missouri opening up as a 7 to 7.5 point favorite. Bullock, what do you make of that?
Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, because you would think that that Kentucky would go in as the favorite, but no, they actually have Missouri going in as the favorite, and some can understand why because they. Well, I mean, the Wildcats do have the SEC's number three rushing, uh, the league's number three rushing attack, led by SEC's top rusher Benny Snell into the game, and of course the Tigers have the number three passing game with Drew Lock with over close to 2,000 yards overall. So it should be a fun one here. I mean, who knows? We could see some offense here. But I mean, but the thing is here, the Tigers, they are number 35 in the country in rush defense and holding opponents to just over 131 yards a game. So I think that's the key. I mean, when you got the 35th, uh, uh, when you're 35th in the country in rush defense, and you got the third best rusher in, well, you got you got the conference's top rusher in Benny Snell. That could be trouble there. So as much as I want to go with the Missouri here, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I got to go with Kentucky here. I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to say 20. I'm actually going to go 27-24. I think Kentucky will pull it out at the end. So, Florio, it's yours.
Kentucky has done a commendable job of preventing big plays through the air, tied for 18th nationally, led by strong arm quarterback Drew Lock. Missouri will repeatedly test that strength. The Wildcats should pass, but they'll need a productive rushing day to outlast the hosts. So I agree. I'm going to go with Kentucky just around the same score, but a little bit, just a smidge lower. I got Kentucky winning 26-23. That's going to be my final. So let's move on. A 6:30 kickoff now. We have the number 15 Washington Huskies squaring off against the Cal Golden Bears. We just get my next set of notes here. Okay, got that. At California Memorial Stadium. This game's over on Fox Sports 1. And on that call, it will be Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, and Holly Saunders. And Washington opening up as an 11.5 to 12-point favorite. Cal enjoyed a much-needed offensive resurgence during a 49-7 smackdown of Oregon State last week. This contest could be a little trickier for Washington than anticipated, but Cal's season-long trend of multiple turnovers will prevent an upset. So I got Washington winning, just barely though. Washington over Cal, 27-20. Nothing more to say. Bullock, your thoughts on Washington and Cal?
Yeah, I got Washington. I got Washington being Cal as well. I mean, especially since they're coming off of a home win against Colorado, especially after following a loss to Oregon a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, I just don't see how Cal's going to be able to hang around with Washington. So yeah, I'm going to go 31-20. Washington beats Cal. So nothing more to say. let's just move on to our next game.
And that happens to be the number 3 game of the week, rounding out our top 3 games of the week. The number 14 Washington State Cougars against the number 24 Stanford Cardinal, Stanford Stadium in Palo Alto. This game will be on the Pac-12 network, and it'll be Ted Robinson with Yogi Roth and Jill Savage on the call. And Stanford opening up as a 3-point favorite. Only fitting, Bullock, that Stanford's a 3-point favorite in our number 3 game of the week.
Yeah, I mean, Washington State, what can you say? I mean, they are riding high after last week's win over Oregon, but now they're going to be facing a difficult challenge against the Cardinals. And I mean, yeah, I like what I've seen from Stanford here. I mean, Stanford, I mean, they have a strong defense across the board. I mean, it has proven to be vulnerable against the pass this season. Of course, they lead the nation in pass. The Cougars lead the nation in passing with 400 yards a game. So, yeah, so Stanford really needs to improve on that if they have any chance of winning this game. So, it's a tough one, but I think it's just because of that. I'm gonna slightly go with Washington State. I'm gonna say 31-28 is gonna be my final score. So yeah, nothing more to say. Florio, I know you're gonna probably disagree with me, but just go right ahead.
Once again, I'm pulling another MF. I'm calling for another upset here. Yes, you're right. Despite a majority of the numbers favoring Washington State, the Cougs are 3-point underdogs per OddsShark. Stanford is not a great team, but Wazoo's reliance on the passing game should benefit an uninspiring defensive line. For a Cardinal win, though, quarterback KJ Costello needs to protect the ball. So I'm going with Stanford to pull the upset 31-24 over Washington State. So moving on, another 7 o'clock matchup. ESPN will have this one. The number 16 Texas A&M Aggies against the Mississippi State Bulldogs, Davis Wade Stadium. Yeah, Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field in Starkville, Mississippi. This one over on ESPN, and we will have Dave Patch, Greg McElroy, and Tom Luganville on the call. And it is Mississippi State opening up as a 1.5-point favorite. Mississippi State quarterback Nick Fitzgerald has failed to hit 100 passing yards in 3 straight games. Texas A&M's game plan should be simple: stack the box and dare him to throw. Fitzgerald is a dangerous runner, but his effectiveness will be limited. I got A&M winning. My final score 24-10. So Bullock, your thoughts on Texas A&M and Mississippi State?
You said 38-10, right?
24-10.
10. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. I got Texas. I got Texas A&M winning this one barely. I'm gonna say 24-10 is gonna be my final score. So, yeah, nothing more to say. Let's move on to our next game.
And you'll be leading it off, Bullock. We got a few more to go. Our final 7 o'clock matchup, this one over on ESPN2. The number 22 North Carolina State Wolfpack squaring off against the Syracuse Orange at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. Beth Mowins, Anthony Becht, Rocky Boyman will have it. And North Carolina State opening up as a 2-point favorite. I smell a trap game, Bullock. Syracuse is for real.
Yeah, sorry about that. I accidentally hit my mute button here. Yeah, I think this could be a trap game. I mean, who knows? Syracuse. Syracuse. I mean, he could. Yeah, they could sneak up from right behind and upset NC State. I mean, But the thing is, they do have questions about who's going to be the starting quarterback. I mean, they may go with that redshirt freshman Tommy DeVito. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But it could be a trap game. But I think in the end, I got to go with NC State to win this one. I'm going to say 27-24. NC State barely survived Syracuse. Florio, it's yours.
Nope. Another upset special. I'm calling another one. Syracuse appears to have a quarterback dilemma, but Dino Babers isn't tipping his hand on the direction of the offense. While the choice between Eric Dungy and Tommy DeVito creates an unknown, NC State's suspect secondary is likely headed for a frustrating night either way. Give me Syracuse to pull the upset, 35-30. There you go. A few more games to go. Let's get into them. Oh, I'm going to like this one. It's my team, babe. The number 3. Yeah, that's right. Number 3. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, squaring off against the midshipmen of the Navy. San Diego County Credit Union Stadium, and a special primetime Saturday night game on CBS. How about it? We have, it is going to be Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor, Rick Neuheisel, and John Schriffen on the call. And Notre Dame opening up as a 24 to 24.5 point favorite. Navy has been a major disappointment. Notre Dame should cruise to a victory if two things happen. 1, sturdy run defense, and 2, efficient passing. The triple option mids rely on their running game, and their coverage ranks 104th nationally in yards allowed per throw. I rest my case. Notre Dame in a rout, 42-17. Notre Dame all over the Navy. Nothing more to say. Bullock, this magical season for Notre Dame, going to keep on rolling.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to keep on rolling for Notre Dame. I think they'll have no problem with Navy. I'm going to say 41-14 is going to be my final score. So nothing more to say. Let's move on to our next game, and we only have 2 games left.
We move on to another one of our personal favorites. You know how much we love the SEC on CBS? Well, how about the coveted Saturday night ABC game of the week right here? The number 6 Texas Longhorns squaring off against the Oklahoma State Cowboys at Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma. You know who works this one as always. Chris Fowler, Brooke Herbstreit, Maria Taylor. They will be there. And Texas opening up as 3.5 point favorites. Another trap game, Bullock.
Yeah, I think this could be another trap game, but yeah, I mean Texas. I mean they are the sole leaders in the conference. They're ranked number 6 right now. It's their highest rank in the polls since 2010. Yeah, and I mean Oklahoma State. They have been inconsistent in all phases. They've not relied heavily on Justice Hill, a junior running back who led the Big 12 rushers last season. So he only carried the ball 41 yards in a loss against Kansas State. So yeah, I mean, but who knows? I think this could be the game where they break it out. And you know what? I'm actually gonna do an MF and poll. I'm gonna say there's gonna be an upset. Oklahoma State will upset Texas. 20-24 is my final score. Florio, do we have another MF upset special for you?
No, not this time.
Ooh.
I like the idea, Bullock. I like that, but I mean, there is a chance, but I just got to go with Texas here. I mean, yes, Sam Ehlinger is recovering from a shoulder injury, but he is expected to play. Oklahoma State does have the benefit of home field, but it's secondary. That's the weakest link. And as long as Sam Ehlinger isn't limited, Texas will survive a tough trip to Stillwater. 31-23 Texas over Oklahoma State. But I would not be surprised if we get an upset there. I wouldn't. Final game of the night, the Pac-12 After Dark on Saturday night, 10:30 on ESPN. The number 19 Oregon Ducks, our good friend Eric Carrier's team, squaring off against the Arizona Wildcats at Arizona Stadium. Like I said, ESPN will have this one, and we will have Clay Matvick with Dan Orlovsky and Paul Carcaterra on the call, and Oregon opening up as 9.5-point favorites. Having a healthy quarterback helped Arizona score 30 points for the first time since mid-September last week, but the Wildcats still aren't playing much defense. Oregon's signal caller, Justin Herbert, should have his first 300-yard game in over a month. I got Oregon bouncing back from that tough loss to Washington State. Give me Oregon 41-26. Bullock, your thoughts while I get ready for the power poll.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon can certainly use a nice bounce back win after a tough loss last week against Washington State, and I think this is going to be the game for them to come back. Excuse me, to come back from this. Arizona's not doing well this season, so to me, I'm going to go with Arizona to win this one. 41-27 is going to be my final score. So, Florio, let's move on to the power poll.
And I'll take this for a spin, Bullock, because I know you're going to agree with me on all of it. So here we go. Number 10, Made in Georgia Bulldogs. SEC East is at stake, and Georgia has won 4 of the last 7 meetings with Florida. And speaking of Florida, they come in at number 9. The SEC East at stake. Florida has won 6 of the last 10 meetings. Number 8, Michigan. The Michigan State rivalry was in full flower per Jim Harbaugh. Sparty clothesline linebacker Devin Bush. Mark D'Antonio was nearby smiling. Coach D called it BS. All of it overshadowed the fact the Wolverines are the Big Ten's best playoff hope. Number 7, Oklahoma. Kyler Murray and the Sooners got the Maserati back into high gear, scoring 52 against TCU. Even better in Ruffin McNeil's first game as interim defensive coordinator, the Frogs were shut down in the second half. Texas is still the Big 12's best playoff hope. Number 6, UCF. With only 5 undefeated teams left, I'm starting to, think about this. I'm starting to dream a little bit. With a fair amount of help, the Knights could make the playoff. It would involve at least 2 Power 5 conference champions losing twice, the committee taking into account a 25-game winning streak, and a bowl game win last year over Auburn. One question, is quarterback Mackenzie Milton okay? Number 5, Texas. Horns get back to action this week at Oklahoma State. Number 4, I got Notre Dame here because of the bye week rule. A deep breath before a closing kick that will include Navy, Northwestern. Navy in San Diego, Northwestern at Northwestern. Florida State, the final home game, senior day. Syracuse at Yankee Stadium. And USC in the Coliseum. If you believe staying unbeaten absolutely gets Irish in, they're still in control. Number 3, Clemson. There were dozens of NFL scouts at Death Valley to watch Trevor Lawrence in his 3rd career start, 2.5 years before he can be drafted. Lawrence and the Tigers rolled 41-7 over NC State. We like both the quarterbacks and the team's staying power. Number 2 is LSU. Linebacker Devin White went and got himself suspended for the first half of the Alabama game. There is and will be much discussion whether White really targeted Nick Fitzgerald on a pass rush during a 19-3 win over Mississippi State. That lack of impact might have the biggest impact 2 weeks from now. Or I should say a week from now. And number 1, of course, is obviously Alabama. They played 8 games. Tua Tagovailoa has missed the equivalent of 2 of them because he and his team have been so good. That figures to change next Saturday night in Death Valley in what figures to be the biggest Alabama LSU game in 7 years. So, of course, it's Bama at 1. So, that will put the bow on this edition of College Football Thursday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. I've already pulled up my Notes for next week. We got some beauties next week, my friends. Let me tell you. West Virginia against Texas. Georgia against Kentucky. Stanford against Washington. Texas A&M against Auburn. Penn State against Michigan. Oh, Nelly. But of course, we already know what the game of the week is going to be next week. It's Alabama and LSU. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's in prime time on CBS. Whew. We got some beauties next week, folks, and I cannot wait to get into it. And I'm hopeful that MF will be with us. So, all right. So that's it for this. So tomorrow night, 10:30, NFL Friday. Myself, Bullock, MF. We'll run down the Week 8 action of the NFL. Headlined, of course, by that divisional playoff rematch with the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings. And some other great matchups to get into in our power rankings on that. 10 p.m. Saturday night, we will have our preview of the first ever all-women's pay-per-view, WWE Evolution, hosted by the Twisted Angel herself, Didi Woodson. She'll be on with myself and Bullock and Derek Ferreira and our very special guest panelist, Elizabeth Decker. Unfortunately, MF will not be with us for that show. He has work commitments beyond his control. And then Sunday night, a little after the pay-per-view because of Didi Woodson's work commitments, we will have the Evolution pay-per-view recap over on MF's channel, Braceman 95, once again hosted by Didi Woodson. And then, of course, Ridiculously Raw, Cerebral Smack Talk. And then next week's College Football Thursday, shaping up to be a beauty. Of course, like I said, Bama and LSU, there's the headliner. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for NFL Friday, Anthony Floyer here for Michael Bullock. In spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher, Didi Woodson, and Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Go to 14-4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. Until NFL Friday tomorrow night, you've been watching Week 9 of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25 and YouTube.com. Everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Floyer, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.